What does journalism mean anymore? You know, I make a lot of videos on this channel criticizing the media because I've worked for some big companies and I see exactly what they do. I've been in meetings where in the morning they have like an editorial meeting and they've brought up stories that I'm just like, hey, yo, that's not true. And they say, oh, okay, yeah, well, we're gonna run with that anyway. Even when journalists, or if you can even call them journalists, news writers, have all the time in the world, they get the story wrong. And what happens now? Yesterday, the Associated Press and many other news outlets reported that the shooter, confirmed, was a member of a white nationalist or white supremacist group, even in the face of law enforcement saying there are no known ties. And what was it? Well, apparently, it was an online hoax. Perhaps it's because these news organizations just want to believe this is true, or because they assume it's true without doing proper fact-checking. They run this story claiming that this shooter, the gunman, had ties to a white nationalist group. Before I get into all of that, let me give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, all of you guys. If you haven't already, go to patreon.com/Timcast and become a patron today. There are many different tiers to choose from. Most notably is tier 1 at $10 per month. You get access to behind the scenes photos and videos and bonus commentary videos. So if you want to support my work, please consider becoming a patron at whatever level you feel comfortable today. Now I'm gonna pick on PBS here because PBS is widely considered to be one of the most trusted news outlets in the country. And this story reads, leader of white nationalist group says Florida shooting suspect was a member. There is an editor's note right here, and I'll read that in a second, but first, let's read what they initially reported. As the criminal case against the suspect took shape, the leader of a white nationalist militia called the Republic of Florida said Cruz was a member of his group and participated in exercises in Tallahassee. Jordan Jareb told the Associated Press that did not know Cruz personally and that he acted on his own behalf and is solely responsible for what he just did. The group wants Florida to become its own white ethno-state. Jareb said his organization holds spontaneous random demonstrations and tries not to participate in the modern world. He also said Cruz had trouble with a girl and that he believed the timing of the attack on Valentine's Day was not a coincidence. Early in the day, I heard this reporting, and I gotta be honest, I wasn't really surprised that, oh, okay, yeah, here we go, you know, this is, well, it's not surprising. What's even less surprising, I guess, is that apparently the internet fell for a hoax because now PBS has an update with an editor's note. And it reads, a number of AP stories about the school shooting in Florida quote the leader of a white nationalist group as saying that the suspected shooter, Nicholas Cruz, has taken part in drills with the organization. A law enforcement official now says he knows of no known ties between the suspect and the white supremacist group. We are attempting to find out more information and will update the stories as needed. So it would seem that Cruz is likely not a member, as we just heard, no known ties. But let's look a little further at some other reporting. The Huffington Post has a quote, we are still doing some work, but we have no known ties between the ROF, Jordan Jareb, or the Broward shooter, a Leon County Sheriff's Office spokesman told the Tallahassee Democrat. The Sheriff's Office has arrested Jareb at least 4 times since January 2014 and has been monitoring ROF's membership, the Associated Press reported. They've been monitoring the membership of the ROF. Okay, law enforcement has been monitoring the membership, which means they likely would have known if Cruz is a member. If they're saying they have no known ties, if that Cruz has no known ties to another group that they have been monitoring, it is very unlikely, in my opinion, that Cruz was actually a member. In which case, how does a story like this happen? Well, it's rather simple. You see, a group of people on Discord apparently, I can't confirm this, but I have seen messages, started a hoax. They wanted to prank the media because this is what people do online. It's often funny for many online communities to send fake stories to the press and get them to run it. Imagine what it must be like to be sitting in your gaming room, your living room, your kitchen, wherever, and you're talking with your friends online, absolutely convinced you can make the press report whatever you want. Well, people, they do this, and, well, it works. So where does this come from? Well, the Anti-Defamation League reported that after self-described ROF members claimed on the discussion forum 4chan that Cruz had also been a member, the Anti-Defamation League spoke with an ROF member who identified himself as Jordan Jareb. Jareb said that Cruz was associated with ROF having been brought up by another member. Jareb also claimed that Cruz had participated in one or more ROF training exercises in the Tallahassee area, carpooling with other ROF members from South Florida. So the Anti-Defamation League is surfing 4chan, and they see people posting about how the shooter was a member of this white nationalist group, so they decide to call the white nationalist group, who then confirms it. Why would anyone take anything off 4chan to be fact? There is a recurring meme on 4chan that posts are fake and gay. That's what they say, because people lie on the internet, and 4chan is full of people who are just lying because it's just, for whatever reason. Don't ask me, I don't know why the people do what they do, but why would anyone believe 4chan is real? And then major news outlets took the Anti-Defamation League's statements as a source and further reported this to be true. Now, I'll admit, it wasn't just them searching 4chan, it wasn't just these statements from 4chan, but it was what got these organizations, that got the ADL, to then contact the ROF. And there's a reason why Jordan Jareb probably shouldn't be trusted. The Southern Poverty Law Center said that he was just some guy looking for attention. In a statement they issued, SPL statement on Florida school shooters' reported membership in a white nationalist hate group. Jordan Jareb, the leader of the Republic of Florida Militia, a white nationalist hate group that we have been monitoring, earlier today claimed that Nicholas Cruz, the suspect in the massacre at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, is a member of his group. Hours after claiming a connection to Cruz, Jareb said he had been misunderstood. And what do they say about Mr. Jareb? It may seem odd that Jareb would bring attention to his group by claiming a connection to Cruz, but Jareb has always been somewhat of a publicity seeker. In 2014, in fact, he wrote us to complain that we had not already listed ROF as a hate group. In April 2017, Michael Tubbs, the leader of the Florida chapter of the League of the South, a well-known hate group, wrote that Jareb never misses a photo op and called him a nut job who should be avoided. The SPLC has said that Jareb is just seeking publicity. So why would he lie when contacted by major press outlets that Cruz is a member? Well, guess what? Guess whose name is on every major newspaper relating to the story? Guess whose organization is now being named in every major newspaper? The Republic of Florida, Jordan Jareb. They even make the claim that other hate groups think he's a weirdo who should be avoided. So when I hear that Jordan Jareb maybe lied, yeah, it kind of makes sense. And then I have to wonder, why would the press use a statement from this guy as fact? Well, let's rewind a little bit. The ADL saw a message on 4chan, and that was good enough for them to dig further. They then contacted a random guy who then confirmed it, and that was enough for them to run the story. And then the AP called him, and then ABC contacted people apparently, and all these news outlets contacted this random person. Why? It appears that because the Anti-Defamation League saw fake posts on 4chan, presumably fake posts, that was enough for every major news outlet to contact some random guy in Florida who probably doesn't matter and act like he did. So my question is, what constitutes a confirmation? What constitutes a source? Because I would never report that. I mean, maybe I would say he's making the claim, but you'd have to look into it. It blows my mind that they would take this guy's statement as fact. They could have waited for a comment from law enforcement. They could have waited for confirmation from law enforcement. Did they even contact law enforcement? Why? Because several hours later, the police said, no, there's no known ties. And not only that, but the police have been monitoring the membership of Jareb's group. So they certainly know who is in his group, and Cruz wasn't one of them. Was it so hard for the Associated Press to contact law enforcement and say, do you have a comment on this? Is there any way we confirm this? Did they do that? I don't know if they did or not, but they certainly ran with a story based off the word of someone they probably never heard of, didn't know, just because he happened to have been a member of a white nationalist group. This image has been going around on Twitter, and it's from Jordan Flash. He said, Jordan Jareb is a meme in the chat. We F with him on his live call-in show, and he even hangs around in our group chat. Shooting happens, and autist from group goes on the shooter's Instagram. ABC News reporter contacts the autist, and he tells her that he knew the shooter. He gives her some other people's numbers, and they prank call her, telling her that Cruz was a chubby chaser, always saying, read siege, I'm not going to say that, and other spicy memes. ABC blows up Jordan's hotline, and he knew it was our group, so he played along. He said he wasn't a member, but only an affiliate, and that he has some pictures. We laugh our asses off and go to bed. We wake up, and it's international news. Well, Jared walked his statements back on Gab, saying that it was a misunderstanding, and that they called him, and he was confused and hadn't slept in 2 days. But then we have this Discord leak, what appears to be a Discord leak. Now, before I go through these, I'm not going to read everything. There's a ton of messages here. I just want to say this can't be confirmed. Okay, these are just screenshots. They could be doctored. I really have no idea. So I'm not going to go through individual messages, but I just want to point out that these do exist. They were published. They may or may not be real. In these messages, you can see people attempting to organize the hoax. In fact, I shouldn't say attempting. They actually pulled it off. You can see links to stories where the hoax was confirmed, where they post photos claiming it to be true, and where journalists are messaging members. Here's what I can say definitively. There is some weird goings-on the internet, and a lot of people are saying this is a hoax, and there's certainly reason to doubt that the shooter was a member of the ROF. I think, in my opinion, the news organizations did a terrible job, didn't properly vet their sources or actually get confirmation, or simply a statement from some guy you've never heard of is not confirmation. And I am absolutely surprised that the Associated Press ran with this story. I'm not surprised that the Anti-Defamation League sourced information off 4chan because, geez, well, they're not a news organization, so it is what it is. But when you even have the SPLC saying that this guy Jordan Jareb is just an attention seeker, you wonder why a news organization wouldn't have contacted any of these groups to verify who this person was and try and get confirmation from other sources before just saying it's true. Because the SPLC has reported on Jareb as early as 2014. So they certainly know who he was. And when they said he contacted them angry that they didn't list him as a hate group, you can see something's a little weird there. But let me know what you think in the comments below. You know, I can go all day talking about why I think the press is just so awful. Okay, I take that back. They tend to do a good job. They really do. A lot of journalists, they do better than the average person, but they're far from perfect. And when they get things wrong, it makes me, face palm. Because this is a stupid mistake. A seriously stupid mistake. Somebody jumped the gun. This should not have happened, and it shouldn't happen again. But you know what? I know it will. Let me just say, before I close this out, that there are a lot of journalists who do good work, and simply because we see these big screw-ups doesn't mean the bulk of journalism coming from the AP and these news organizations is bad. It just means you need to remember that even when a story is almost entirely factually true, there's going to be errors in the reporting. It's very unlikely that anything will ever be 100% true. It's impossible for any news organization to be 100% accurate all of the time. I still like the Associated Press. I'm critical of them and many other news outlets, but they still do a good job to an extent, and you should always remember that you'll probably have to fact check everything you read anyway. So if you want to follow me, I'm on Twitter at Timcast. Stay tuned. New videos every day at 4 p.m. It's going to be really great these next couple days because I'm going down to Portland for the James Damore presentation at Portland State University. So stay tuned, and I will see you all then.